Winning isn't everything, but it's the only thing. In our business, there is no second place. Either you're first or you're last.
It was named after Vince Lombardi. You play in Green Bay. As important as it is to any other team, it means more to us.
When he walked into the meeting, he looked us right in the eye. He said, "Gentlemen, we're going to relentlessly chase perfection."
My first thought was, on any play with my arm strength, I may not let anybody know this, but my first thought was home run. On every play. On every play.
He did what? Fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No!
Welcome back to the Packers Corner. The old Lambeau Field tradition, roll out the barrel of fun, roll out the toasters of doom again here, guys. We're back on the losing streak. Unfortunately, everything was kind of went against us against Pittsburgh here. Any number of things could have broken our way, and we might have come out of there with a victory. But as Bill Parcells like to say, you are what your record says you are in the NFL, and the Packers are 3-6. Dad, how are you feeling about things after another loss for the green and gold?
Well, it certainly is not an optimistic, rosy-looking picture for this year, but something strange inside me tells me that I watched Jordan Love back there progressing, making strides. I don't know what statistic you call it, but there's some statistic of incredible throws or tight window throws. He had 5 tight window throws, which is the third most of any quarterback in the league. Only Tua and I believe it was Joe Burrow ahead of him in that statistic. And there's one of those throws right there in that game. Those kind of high leverage, high quality throws. There's another one late in the game under pressure. So the kid has talent, and the defense, we can get into that. Look, it took a tipped ball by Patrick Peterson that luckily bounces to his teammate. It took a blocked field goal where DeGuara feints and doesn't block his man. And it took the most horrendous replay call that wasn't overturned for us to lose this game. Any one of those 3 things, I know ifs and buts and candy and nuts, but so I actually have some optimism. I have plenty of things I'm going to talk about and we're going to litigate here. There's a few players on my list, but we can get into that as we go by.
Yeah, no, I wanted to highlight those throws there too. So Schmitty, there were a couple things, as you could see, whether you're like to admit it or not. A couple encouraging throws for sure out of Jordan Love. I think we saw some things to be pleased with there. One of the things we saw that maybe we aren't very pleased with was the result of the throws when he targeted Christian Watson. Do you have anything to say on our former second round pick there?
You've probably seen on social media the last 2 days, but this is something that we've been talking about, at least myself, the entirety of the season, and just how abysmal this guy is and why we continue to try to throw him the football. Griffey, I want you to guess how many yards per attempt our friend number 9 is getting so far throughout the
target.
year. Per target.
Yeah, I saw that on social media, and they actually had an error with their math. I think he's really at about 7.4-ish, and it said 0.9. If you did a quick bit of math, it wasn't quite as bad as illustrated there. But it was the worst out of any of our top targets, whether it's Tay Wicks, whether it's Jaden Reed, whether it's Romeo Dobbs. He's been the least efficient guy to target.
And as I said last week, I'm the least interested in his path on the Green Bay Packers. I care so much more about the other guys, your Musgraves, Reeds, Wicks of the world. So it's just another draft pick gone wrong. Yet we've had good success in the second round with wide receivers. I don't think this one is anywhere near going to be up to snuff. So yeah, he just is one piece of a pretty disappointing Sunday. I think if we get that lateral pass, that backwards pass that Pickett threw, Certainly, we're on the other side of this, but maybe we're on the other side of the Falcons game, the Raiders game, and maybe we have a 6-3 season going into this week, but we don't. It's a matter of making plays, and we don't make enough of them. So it's heartbreaking that we're 3-6, but I'm not. I'm unfortunately a little optimistic knowing that just a few plays go our way. We might even be like 5-4 at this point. So I'm a pretty negative person on this podcast, but I try to keep going back to some positive things, and certainly Jordan Love uh, provided that optimism going forward.
I'm surprised to hear you say that. I wasn't getting that vibe. We were together this week for the game, Schmitty, and there was a lot of negative chatter about old number 10 back there. Was that you stirring the pot a little bit? You have some genuine room for optimism?
You walk in the door wearing a number 10 jersey. You see me, I'm wearing the number 12 jersey. We know who the better quarterback is in the alpha, the guy that could make those throws that Jordan couldn't make on Sunday. Yes, thank you, Gar. Yes. Uh, but no, I have some optimism, Griffey. And my thing going into next season will be, what does his contract look like? It'd be really tough for us to see a deal get made during the course of next season. That I'm really curious of what a contract would look like going into this offseason. If the play is teetering back and forth, you have a performance like you did on Sunday, and you had some blunders the last few weeks. It's tough to really gauge just how good he is, because let's face it, our team, we just can't put it together. A really young team. You just, from week to week, you have no clue, what kind of performance you're going to get from any individual, even as much as our all pros. So it's just a really curious time to be a Green Bay Packers fan. You're just there's just a bunch of unknown in front of you.
Yeah, let's go to the most consequential play there, Dad. How are they not able to get that Pickett lateral correct? I can see on the field it's a tough call. They tell those guys to err on the side of not blowing the whistle and let's keep the play alive because it can be reviewed if it's a turnover. So there's one strike, but I can understand to some degree missing that live. But then they go to the replay booth and it's as clear as day. You got the Kurt Bankerts of the world with some photo evidence just drawing a straight line across the field. This is not a difficult thing to parse out. How do they get that wrong?
You know that I've been a proponent of totally revamping the replay system and sending the replays to three drunk guys at Applebee's, and they'll get it right way more often than the goofballs who sit in New York or wherever they sit for the NFL that are protecting the referees on the field. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, how can you goof this up? I would love them to see them take a poll of the fans watching the game. Can you imagine what that poll would have been? It would have been about 80% to 20% of Pittsburgh fans. And even most of the Pittsburgh fans would have said that was a lateral pass. And so I just don't get it. But kind of reminds me of the 80s where you're complaining about one player, one call, and Schmitty's right. We didn't make enough plays. But for a little positivity, I came across another nugget here that our three rookies, Tay Wicks and Musgrave, and our boy Jaden Reed, who's leading the team, who's leading the team in yards, were the three top rookie receivers per yards per catch for the entire league. So we've got some young guys who are showing potential. I'm beginning to wonder when Tay Wicks takes over for Christian Watson. And it might be time to sit his rear end down and give him some tough love. I'm not giving up on the guy. I think obviously he was a raw guy coming out of North Dakota State. He does not compete well. He doesn't, when Patrick Peterson sticks his hands up there, you got to come back and knock his hand down and go up through that contact and compete for that ball. And it's a game-changing play. And so he is not competing well for the ball. He's not playing strong. He doesn't seem to have good vision to time his jump. And so one of the question marks going into next year, and we'll have some more games figured out, do we go get a veteran receiver who can be a number one? Because right now I don't see a number one on this team.
Well, you talk about with the young quarterback oftentimes is let's set up some things to allow him to have success, get him in a situation where he's likely to succeed. And I think we need to do a little bit more of that with Christian Watson. We've seen, he did have the one great catch last week, but we've seen in contested catch situations that's clearly not been his forte to this point in time. I'd like to see if we are throwing the ball down the field to him err on the side of missing long. The old adage Paul Christ told me at the Badgers football camp was you can't complete an overthrow, but you can complete an underthrow. I'd throw that out the window with Christian Watson. It's either he outran the guy by a couple steps and you're throwing it over his head, or it's nothing, because we've seen him turn a couple contested balls into turnovers. Secondly, I'd like to see what was the big play we had against the Chicago Bears last year. Christian Watson end around, ball game over. I'd like to see him in some certain situations like that where he can just use his speed and not think too hard. So maybe they'll look to some of those plays. But yeah, 7 targets, 2 catches, 23 yards for Watson this week was a frustrating one. Another real frustrating, relatively young guy for us is DeGuara, the tight end. Has the horrible lapse. I'd be curious what he's coached on that extra point. He clearly didn't take the man coming off the edge very seriously, and that really ended up being the game there, Schmitty, didn't it?
Of course it did. Of course it did. It's so tough. It's so It just it drives me absolutely bonkers when you see a play like that. My favorite videos to watch on X Griffey are just missed blocking assignments by literally any guy across our front. The John Runyons of the world. He was a prime suspect this past game. It's just mental lapses. Like that's not even like any reasonable coaching job. If you're in that position, you have to recognize the guy that's coming off your left shoulder. If you're DeGuara, and he just shows no emphasis to even. It didn't look like he chipped the guy. And yes, it cost us the game. Literally it changed the entire complexity of how that game, how it needed to be scored and played. And you fight yourself going back and forth. Is this just a bad player that Goody put on our roster, or is this something greater? Is this a coaching thing? Is this a Bisaccia? Is this a Matt LaFleur problem that we just don't have our guys ready to play? These are the questions you got to ask yourself. And unfortunately, we see this come up game after game where you just wonder what the heck is this guy thinking, and it can be on any side of the ball. We've seen it. You just don't know, like I said, who you're going to have show up and play just a sound football game. And maybe that's just the really young roster that we have. We have the youngest one. But Guaguara is what, a third year guy. Like I can't fathom why stupid mistakes like this happen week after week. We shoot ourselves in the foot, and now you got a 3-6 ball club, and everyone's crying. So it's just really, really disappointing.
Yeah. Let's take a look back at some of the recent players drafted by Goody and see how we're feeling there. Want to take a little stroll down memory
Oh my
lane here?
God, I can't drink enough Z-Quil.
So let's go back to 2020. Of course, I mean this is the draft that really starts it all for the Gutekunst era, because this is when they step in and trade up for Jordan Love. Of course, we followed that up with AJ Dillon, which we've been pretty hard on AJ on this podcast, and rightfully so. But I think we need to cut him a little bit of slack based on recent performances. He's looked pretty good out there, and even fallen forward on some runs, which was something he was want to do for quite a while there. Additionally, we got Josiah DeGuara, our boy, on the special teams era this week. Kamal Martin had maybe a promising career early on at linebacker for the Packers, didn't stick around. Your boy John Runyon there, Schmitty, Jake Hansen, Stepaniak, Vernon Scott, Jonathan Garvin. So in terms of guys on the team for a draft from a number of years ago, still 5 guys on the team, looks like. Then 2021, Eric Stokes. He'll be on the field at some point here, maybe. We'll have to see. Josh Myers, Amari Rogers, see ya. Royce Newman,
Gone.
Daryl Slayton, Shamar Jean Charles, Cole Van Lanen. I don't know if I'd heard. Do you remember that name, Dad?
Yeah, he took a year off for mental health issues and then came back and made the team for a while. And then got
These
cut,
are the
but
guys we're employing. The guy had mental health issues. We couldn't have vetted this out in the draft process. You got to be absolutely kidding me. You got Josh Myers. This guy, send him back to elementary school. He has no business being our center, Griffey. Go on. Oh, Lord.
Isaiah
the
McDuffie,
array of hope,
6th round
the array of
pick
hope there.
on the
You
team.
got Isaiah McDuffie
Yeah.
there in the 6th or 7th round.
Doing
Has
well.
been playing a lot of ball for us.
Playing-
and has helped
Playing
us out.
good ball. Playing good ball.
Got to give that guy credit.
2022. I don't think this one's going to make you particularly happy at the top. Well, we got Quay. Devontae Wyatt has been
Serviceable.
middling. I don't
Serviceable.
Semi
okay. Christian Watson,
something
your boy.
Bust.
to be
yeah.
determined.
Yeah, Sean Ryan.
Yes.
We don't know. Another cluing. How apparently this guy shows up on tape all the time when he's in there, yet we allow the Runyons, the Myers of the world to just totally muddy up what we try to do on offense. How is this guy not given a chance yet, knowing that we don't have a roster that's competing for much of anything? Let's see some of these guys play to know what we have. Go on.
Romeo Dobbs, Zach Tom.
Two
That's
good
pretty
ones
good.
right there.
Kingsley Enigbare, Tariq Carpenter, Jonathan
good one.
Ford, Rasheed Walker, who's getting
Yeah,
quite
you
a bit
got
of
a pretty
run.
good. You got a
And
potentially
Samari
pretty good
Toure.
draft there.
So some of those late round picks were reasonable in 2022, and then of course
Yeah.
the rookies this year. Lucas Van Ness, haven't seen much from him
Not
in
good this
recent
week.
weeks here. No, Luke
Pretty good last
Musgrave
week.
started to have a little bit of an emergence. It was exciting to see him running down the field a little bit more. And then Jaden Reed has been awesome. That was my big prediction. And I think you had a big prediction on him coming into the season too here, Dad.
Yeah.
But that he was going to lead the way for us, and we're looking pretty good on that to this point. Tucker Kraft, I was kind of looking for a little bit more out of him out of the shoots here. But, you know, they say those tight ends take a while to catch on. So jury out on a lot of these rookies this year still. We've gotten a lot of run out of Dontavian Wicks out of the 5th round here this year. And Carrington
This draft
Valentine.
actually looks pretty good, guys.
Carrington
I mean,
Valentine, how does that one
Yeah.
look right now?
Yeah, and don't overlook Colby Wooden and Carl Brooks. They might be taking Devontae Wyatt's place here because he just can't hold up against the run. So this draft, Anthony Johnson got an interception. That one looks pretty decent. Can I veer us to another topic here as far as coaching and
Certainly.
strategy? You come into this game with playing a quarterback, Kenny Pickett, who's near the bottom of the league. Wouldn't your defensive philosophy be, we're going to make the Pittsburgh Steelers beat us by having Kenny Pickett throw the ball? Wouldn't you say under no means are they going to gash us in the running game and not have to get Kenny Pickett into a position to have to win the game? Kenny Pickett threw for 126 yards in this game, and they rushed for 200. Twice on the goal line, we lined up in nickel personnel with only 2 down linemen on the field and huge gaps. You're looking at the television going, we aren't even lined up. I don't know what we're lined up to do. And there's Joe Barry. So Schmitty, little silver lining. If we have a winning record this year, we run the risk of Joe Barry being on our staff again next year. And then the most troublesome point here that I'd like to bring up is I listened to Matt LaFleur's press conference in its entirety while I was working out, getting a little angst out of my system tonight. And Matt LaFleur did a semi fall on his sword for Joe Barry by trying to somehow come back at a reporter who asked him about nickel alignment on the goal line on first down from the 4-yard line and said, well, we've got two edge rushers who weigh 275 pounds. Well, they're way split out wide with big gaps in the defense, and how Matt LaFleur can try. What has he got with Joe Barry? Are these guys, I don't even want to say it. They're tight somehow, and I don't get it. But we need to do a little investigation on what the relationship is there, because it's not good. And anyway, that to me is the most maddening thing when Griff, when you're playing flag football and you look over at the other sideline, don't you go, hey, we're not going to let that guy beat us. That's their best player. We're going to take him out of the game. And traveling basketball, when we played old Vince, the sharpshooter from lacrosse, who's not going to beat us? We're going to make somebody else beat us besides Vince. And Joe Barry goes out there, doesn't seem to have any feel for the game at all. No. Oh, good. He adjusted by the second half. They figured out not to play nickel against the run, and they brought some safeties down. Congratulations. So you got me going. The least of our worries is Jordan Love right now. I'm gonna tell you this, and then I'll be quiet. Within 3 years, Jordan Love is going to be in the Pro Bowl, and that's my prediction right here and now as we sit here. He is going to be a bona fide player for the Green Bay Packers, and he's going to be a talent in the league. Look at Tua's first couple of years. Look at Josh Allen's first couple of years. So I think we got a talented guy there, and if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to admit it, but I don't think so. I think the kid's got the demeanor, the arm talent, the movement skills, and he's only going to get better as soon as we get a bona fide. Imagine if he had Devontae Adams or a bona fide number one wide receiver to throw to, who contested catches and came up with the ball more than 25% of the time.
Well, you set us up with a couple threads to pull on there, Dad. To your point on Kenny Pickett, I think the tendency in the NFL in general has become, the analytics say don't give up a big play, right? The whole bend but don't break. That's great if you're playing Patrick Mahomes when he had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce running wild. Great. You got to know your opponent. That's not what we had to worry about with Kenny Pickett. Dare him to throw the ball. If they go out there and beat us like a drum because Kenny Pickett's hitting shots down the field, you tip your cap and you say, they beat us in a way that they probably didn't want to, just like you said. So I'm with you 100% on that. I think that's the way you got to play a game like that. To your point on Jordan Love and Schmitty, I know we've hashed this out pretty good a number of times, but number 10 makes some big time throws, as we highlighted with the opening segment here. Now, it's consistency is going to be the name of the game for him. But in recent years, I haven't seen, you have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but too many guys in the NFL fail that could make the big time throw. It's been, those guys have developed over time. Josh Allen's a perfect example. He's struggling a little bit this year, but he's a good example of a guy that developed into a more consistent, accurate passer. So I like that comparison there, Dad. Schmitty, just want to get your thoughts on the Kenny Pickett philosophy and how we played against that guy. And he's maybe a good guy for us to look across the sidelines and compare our young quarterback to. How do you see those two stacking up?
I mean, from being a Packers fan, you like to think that Jordan Love has a greater ceiling than Pickett does. We gained him in yards on Sunday, Griffey, and it wasn't actually really close. Love looked really good getting the ball down the field, but you harken back to just a few weeks ago, a lot of the season where it doesn't even look like we're able to work the ball down more than 5 yards at a time. And I gotta wonder, what are the defensive schemes that these opposing ball clubs are throwing against Jordan Love that get these Jekyll and Hyde performances where you throw for almost 300 yards, but in a week prior you throw for a hundo. So I don't really understand that. I don't know much about Pickett's season as an entirety. I know that the Steelers have been outgained literally every game this year and have a 6-3 record. That says that's a very telling thing. Maybe they're just really good in the turnover battle, or we're maybe lacking a bunch.
Lucky.
Well, they were lucky
Yeah,
too
so
this week. But no, you're right. Jordan Love is leading the NFL in interceptions. Is something that we probably should come down on him a little bit for. It would be our hope to improve upon that.
Yeah. Again, I'm have totally agree with Gar in the sense that Jordan Love is not the issue right now, at least on paper. You want to point your finger at so many other areas of our team. For me, I'd love to look at our secondary and how we cover the back end of the field first, and then an offensive line to give Jordan Love time to make completions. I got a group of young receivers. You just hopefully that they mature over time, and that only spells success for 10. But um, I'm in a happy place. If you're prompting me to tell you who would I rather have on our football team, I'll tell you I'd rather have Jordan Love than Pickett right now, and I'd probably have Jordan Love over uh, at least 10 or 12 other quarterbacks in the league right now. Maybe that's not saying so much, but it at least gives you the thought that, hey, this guy can do something for us. He just might be that guy, and we just, the jury's still out.
And we get to see another young guy who you maybe wouldn't take at this point, Jordan Love ahead of, and that's Justin Herbert, who's been pretty good. Did down a couple weapons for a large portion of the season here with Eckler missing time and Mike Williams out for the year. They have another. They know what it feels like to have a struggling young wide receiver, Quentin Johnston, first round pick for them. Did they take him ahead of Jordan Addison? Is that how that went? I think he went just ahead of Jordan Addison. I'll have to double check that here. But that guy has not quite risen to the occasion yet. So it'll be interesting to compare some of our young guys against them this week. Dad, what are your early thoughts as we head over to play San Diego? Or it's actually in Green Bay. They'll be coming up north next week.
Well, as I said, deep down inside, I have some optimistic bones here. This NFL is an amazing thing. Think about Denver last year. They looked completely dead in the water,
Think about him 2-3 weeks
you know,
ago.
yeah, and our boy from Wisconsin there, Russell Wilson, looked like his career was over. And now they got a real coach in there, and they're making some strides. I just really think in the next year we're going to be in a cap position to make some acquisitions. I want to remind you guys that Aaron Rodgers lost 7 of his first 8 one-possession games. And, it just takes time to build a team around him. And we don't have enough around Jordan yet, but there's some really optimistic signs. Look how we protected against a really good defense. TJ Watt was almost unheard of yesterday against Zach Tom. The left tackle held up better, Walker. Jordan Love was clean in the pocket. Our offense got 400 yards. I mean, so there's some signs there. To me, the biggest thing is addition by subtraction, getting rid of that Joe Barry. And can you imagine if we brought our boy from Wisconsin back in there, the defensive coordinator from the Badgers, who would not be afraid of his own shadow? I swear, Joe Barry is afraid of his own shadow. He's so scared to play an aggressive style of defense, blitz him a little bit, throw him off guard with some different looks, that somebody's going to complete a 40-yard pass over his head that he just can't. He's frozen. It's paralysis by analysis. So anyway, this is why, in general, I have optimism for the Packers. Are they going to win this week against the gunslinger from Los Angeles? I don't know. Los Angeles lost a heartbreaker, so they're probably up for a big performance. But I'm thoroughly enjoying watching this team develop and seeing what can happen out there. I'm not sure who I'm going to pick yet, but it's going to be a tough game. They got a good squad. They got a good quarterback. What do they got? Keenan Allen, is he one of their guys? Can you imagine this ball club with Jordan Love being able to throw to a guy like Keenan Allen, a real bona fide number 1 stud receiver who catches the ball in traffic and plays like an NFL player instead of a Division II North Dakota wide receiver? So I'm calling you out, Christian Watson, because you're capable of better, and it's time to take the training wheels off and get your big boy pants on and show us what you got. Otherwise, we're putting Tay Wicks in for you.
Or is it also time to turn up the targets that we're giving Jaden Reed? All that he does is produce when given the opportunity. Take the training wheels off. I want to see him get 10, 12 targets and see what he can make of it. Schmitty, the Chargers are favored by 3 points on the road coming to Lambeau here as it stands currently. And I do have to make one quick stat correction. Josh Allen passed Jordan Love for the lead in interceptions last night. So Jordan Love no longer leading the NFL in that dubious category. But Schmitty, what do you think about the matchup at Lambeau Field this Sunday?
Yeah, so the Chargers, Griffey, with how they handle contracts with their players, they're one of the um, least likable front offices. How they treat their players. I think it came out in that presser maybe a year ago or so that the Chargers are one of the worst organizations, at least through the players' eyes. They don't
Because
really
they didn't
enjoy it.
sign Melvin Gordon.
They didn't sign Malvin, maybe. Just how they do business, right? It's not the best ran organization. They spend the most money on defense. They got a coach that is a defensive minded coach, and they got absolutely put in a boat race with the Lions last week. I don't know if this guy has any more capability than Matt LaFleur, and so it's hard to say that the Packers don't have a chance. They don't have a chance, Griffey. The Packers will have no chance of winning this football game. They're going to lose by 6 points. It's going to be 29-23 Chargers. They're gonna win. It's really tough. I would love if Keenan Allen comes to play for the Packers next year, and it's a possibility. I think he's up. It would be really sweet to have a veteran wide receiver that could lead that young group and show them what a professional looks like, and maybe number 9 could ride his coattails for a couple seasons. That would be something that I would look forward to.
We see friend of the pod, Derek Crumry, wearing yellow and blue instead of green and yellow a little bit too frequently. What colors do you think he'll be donning this Sunday?
Our friend Mr. Derek would be wearing gold and green
I sure hope
on
so.
Sunday.
I'm a little nervous. We'll have to get a live feed from him. Dad, do you have a prediction you want to stake a claim here for this week? Or are you going to think about it and give us a last second update again
No,
here?
no, I'm going to commit here. I don't know. I'm out of my mind. I'm taking the Packers. I have no idea why, other than I just think one of these times we're bound to do something right. Although I have no idea why I'm counting on Joe Barry to do so. It's an idiotic pick, but I'm going to make it. What the heck?
I,
Maybe we get something out of. Maybe we throw the ball more to our boy Jaden Reed and maybe I'm calling out Aaron Jones. Jonesy, cut it out. Quit dropping the ball in the breadbasket. Quit fumbling. You fumbled against Detroit and kept us from the playoffs. You fumbled in the NFC Championship against Tampa Bay. I got a memory like an elephant. And you can't catch the ball this week when Tay Wicks puts it right in the breadbasket with a picket line of blockers along the sideline that could be a game-changing play. We need you, Jonesy, to play like a veteran and lead the team. Now, for crying out loud, pull your head out of your rear end and start playing like a Packer. It's time for when pride still mattered. And Vince Lombardi was coaching number 15, and we had a pursuit of excellence beyond anything. So let's get it going again. That's it. I'm out.
You're here.
I'm ready to run through a brick wall. I was going to pick the Chargers, but I can't after that speech there. We're on the Pack. Let's get it done. You convinced me. I've been reeling here in recent weeks with my picks. I was off to a 4-1 start, and now I've picked against them. I've picked for them, and it hasn't done anything for us or myself. So what the heck? Might as well go down swinging. I love the speech and the vim and the vigor there, Dad. Excited to join you guys here next week, hopefully with another one in the win column for the green and gold. Anything we missed here, guys? Time to sign off.
Griffey,
Here's to the Beta Boys ride the kitchen range. Schmitty, finish us up. Close us out.
Griffey, I'm still shirtless. I'm still enjoying cocktails. We got a good thing in front of us, okay? But let's not lose sight of this. We still got a young kid that actually might know how to throw the football. I'm not dead on this guy yet. Okay. We We need some other positivity. We need some other groups on our team, that offensive line, that secondary. We need some things to go our way, and just maybe you can roll the Bolts out of Lambeau on Sunday.
Hey, and even if we don't, we just inch that much closer to Marvin Harrison Jr. So either way, it's a win at this point,
Praise
right?
be.
Take care, guys. Have a good night.
Love you
Hey,
guys.
boys. In the hills of Tennessee lived a beta boy to be, and his father shoveled horseshit all the days. When the lad was very young, they found a diamond in the dung, and they sent him off to college just to play. Hail, hail, hail to Mr. Beta. Lift your thunder mugs on high, and we'll drink another glass to the biggest horse's ass in the brotherhood of Beta Theta Chi. Yours till the Beta boys ride the kitchen range. We're out till next week, boys.